This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where business owners, that's right, they share their wisdom. It's short and to the point because we respect people's time and because we know transforming possibility happens fast. It leads to lasting results. So let's get to it. What do you think? Question number one. In a few sentences, Mitchell Levy, tell me who you are and what you do.
I am the global credibility expert, and I actually spent and interviewed over 500 thought leaders on credibility and have now come up with an updated definition and created a business out of it. And so what do? Let me break it into two pieces. One, we, as a book publisher, we do done for you publishing, and I create a cred reel out of an interview. The second piece is I'm running a membership community to completely transform the planet to be one where we interact with people that are more credible versus I call the opposite of credible, dubious.
Oh, I love it. We're going to dig more into credibility. I know it, but that's great. Thank you. Question number two. What's the best thing about being in business?
I have a plaque sitting on my desk. The best thing about being self-employed is you get to decide which 20 hours a day to work.
Golden.
And sometimes that's true. Happens to be true for me post-COVID because family time was an opportunity where we go outside or go places and do things. And because of all the restrictions associated with COVID, we're all home and we got the family time, but it now means, well, do I sit around and watch TV or do I sit around and play and do what we're doing right now? So what is the best thing about running your own business? It makes it easy, assuming you haven't bought into the bullshit that's associated with everything we're taught dubiousness. It makes it easy for you to decide what type of life you want to live. Because when you run your own business, you create your own rules. And you need to be able to create the type of rules that are in succession, in sync with who you are and how you want to present yourself. And so and by the way, your rules are going to change because the world keeps changing and your customers keep changing. And so what happens is figure out how you want to be best of service. And then you could change the rules to be able to be the best person to do that.
Mitch, I'm just taking all that in, man. That's some good stuff right there. I want to make my own rules. that's good.
No, it's really interesting. That's not what we're taught. We were taught to live in the industrial age. And just to be clear, we're still in the industrial age. Just all the technology you have propagates the real shit that we've been taught. And in the industrial age, it's about ego. It's about self. It's about this major corporation. And we have to buy the Ford Model T in black because that's the only way we can get it. Well, now that everyone has one of these cameras and one of these microphones, the interesting part is we have choice. And you're competing against not just the person who looks just like you across the street. You're talking and competing with people around the world who have completely different price structures, completely different ways of thinking, acting. And your ability needs to be one where you get to craft. This is what a small business, you get to craft the thing that satisfies the client base that you actually want to work with. And so you really can create your own rules. And if you're not, why don't you figure out what business you can be in where you can both have fun, create your rules, and make money?
Love it. Whoever just missed that last line that he just said, I want you to reel back and listen to that again. No, Mitchell, that's great. I mean, I love that, just creating your own rules, but challenging the status quo too. And just kind of doing it, but you wrapped it all up in a bow and how you're serving your clients while doing it. That's amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question number 3. We hear from other business owners that they're getting so much business, which is a cool thing, that sometimes the chaos is causing overwhelm. Tell me your thoughts on that, if you would.
It's a beautiful thing. And first, let me grab a perfect picture, which I'll share. And the answer is, it's really interesting when you're thinking to yourself about people getting too much business. So you have to decide how much business is too much business. How much business is what is how do you want to live? Right. So in my publishing business, we do a done for you publisher. I'm very happy if we get to do and continue to do 2 books a month. Do I want to grow this to 20 books a month or 40? No, because my publishing business is funding other things. So I don't need to do that. And so I have the systems, tools, processes, procedures in place. If I wanted to grow to something different, and as a publisher, we do amazing things. I mean, the stuff that we do that's different than other humans, we print color on the inside. We have QR codes that point to videos because that's part of a book. People don't read books these days. So what do? The primary content's 140 bite-sized quotes. So can I tell you our books are different than any other book out there? Yes. On the other hand, a book is a book. And a book is not going to make you. A book just helps give you a little bit more credibility. So for me as a publisher, do I want to do more than 2 a month? Maybe 3, but I'm happy there. Doing cred reels. How many can I do if I close a company that wants to do 10,000? Am I going to do 10,000 interviews? No. Now, what would happen then? I'll create a certification system. We'll be able to certify people to be able to do the interviews, and then we'll execute that way. I have that in the back of my mind. So what you have to figure out as a business owner, how big do you want to be? Because people say, well, I want to address the world. I want to do it quickly. And the answer is you don't have to. If that's not who you are, if there's something you want to do to support who you are, you don't have to do it all. And so I thought I'd leave a piece of wisdom as a systems guy to a fellow systems guy. This is the thing that powers my undergrad. I love saying this because it's multisyllabic. It's a Bachelor of Science in Stochastic and Deterministic Models of Operational Research.
Oh,
so what that
you speak my language.
I was taught on how to model systems and people and then improve them over time. And so I just thought I'd share this one slide. For those that are listening, if you're sitting by a piece of paper, you draw a box on a piece of paper and you can label it black box. Have a line going into the box called input and have a line going out of the box called output. Now, here's what we as humans do wrong all the time. We jump into the black box and we try to solve things first. Okay, don't do that. Okay. What I suggest you do is define what are the inputs you have to get something done. And if you're starting your own business, it's you and whatever resources you have. And then you define what is the output you want to achieve. Right. And so the cool part, if you get too much, based on this question, you get too much business. Well, who's in your partner network that you could outsource it to? You don't actually have to grow your business if you don't want to manage people. And so you should never say, I have too much business. You should figure out what to do with it. Either your processes are automated in such a way where it handles the incremental flow, or you send it out to partners, or you grow your business. And depending on where your mindset is, you'll change things. So what I'd say to you is, whenever you're thinking about something and you get stuck, ask yourself if you're inside the black box, or if you're to first define your inputs and outputs, because that'll affect how you actually deploy. Does that make sense?
I love that. What I really love that is on the picture you have think aha, and then on the other side you have aha, that. So my mind's going with f of x. So I get the black box and I totally get it. But if I say f of x, most people are like, what is that? I remember that from somewhere in junior elementary school or something, but I have no idea what that is anymore. But that black box is so effective. I love it.
Well,
it's a great illustration.
It's really simple, Brad. So think about, you and I had a conversation in the green room before we started. The biggest question when we first started talking, the first question I asked is, well, what's your output from the show? What do you want to achieve? And then you explained it and I go, oh, now I understand the questions you're asking. I understand the flow. I understand what you want to do. But without asking that, I was trying to Because for me, one of the things that's important about being credible is to actually research and prepare ahead of time. So I was trying to figure out who my host was so that I can at least understand the context in which I'm being interviewed.
Be careful if you want in my brain, Mitchell.
I want. I'm interested. You're intriguing.
This is great. No, I'm teasing you. I love it. That was of tremendous value, and I'm grateful. So anybody listening, like he just dropped a whole bunch of nuggets there. So I encourage you seriously dive in and listen to what he just shared. That was brilliant.
Well, thank you.
Question number 4: what other successful business owners like yourself should be on the Unlimited Wisdom podcast?
It's I love the nature of that particular question, and for me, it's so easy. I look at the people who just drop into my life where we've either created books together or I'm creating them. Some guy that's amazing. We're working right now. A guy by the name of Alex Minicucci. He does behind the scenes systems work, and he now is VC funding or angel funding a bunch of companies. Let me just share a couple more, and I'll share books. Steve Rogers used to be a Warren Buffett CEO of a $25 billion company. So he has a book called The Iggy Principles, which is inviting good in versus Iggy versus ego, edging good out, or inviting God in versus edging God out. Kimberly Weefling, we did a anthology book with her, and she is spectacular. So she's in Silicon Valley as well. Happy to introduce you to. Marianne Rowe is in Australia. She did a book called Knowing Your Superpowers is the Key to Success in a Changing World. I'll give you one more I love. Celia Smith did a book called Sales Cred, which is completely turning the sales and marketing process upside down.
Love it. That was, I'm going to say it again. That was brilliant. Because for anybody listening, what you didn't see is he showed the book covers. So you have a visual element there and walk through, what they're trying to achieve. That was a brilliant way to highlight other people. And I celebrate you, Mitchell, for doing that.
Well, Brad, can I slip in one thing, or maybe it's part of the next question? So as part of the credibility interviews, I came up with a word that I love. It's called cred dust. And CREDUST, if you actually want to go to creddust.com. And what it is that sparkle that happens when you share somebody else's ideas, thoughts, or actions, and everyone wins. The person you're sharing is recognized. Your audience benefits from the incremental knowledge, and you are perceived as somebody that's a servant leader because you're caring about what's happening in industry and you want to share knowledge.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. Love it. No, that cred dust is going to stick with me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did anybody catch that? That is fantastic. Let's get to the crux of this. What piece of wisdom, you already shared a bunch of wisdom. What other piece of wisdom would you share with business owners?
I think I'm going to answer this different than I get this question a lot. I've been on a couple hundred podcasts, and then I've done, as I mentioned, I've done 550 interviews for my show. And one, I guess, what's interesting, I'm going to end up with credibility, but what's interesting is when you know who you want to be, but you're not 100% sure what it means. So I grabbed the title Global Credibility Expert, and I felt really comfortable with it, but I woke up and I had this Napoleon Hill moment. And it basically was, okay, Napoleon Hill interviewed, 500 millionaires and came up with Think and Grow Rich. Mitchell Levy is going to interview 500 thought leaders on credibility and come up with, and I came up with this book, Credibility Nation. So I would highly recommend pick up a copy of this. It's currently a Kindle for 99 cents. You join credibilitynation.com. We send you a PDF copy, or you go to Amazon and pick up a copy. And what happened when I was 95% done with the interviews, I had a massive aha moment. I had some amazing positive, negative surprises. And I think, okay, now I know what I need to do. First, let me tell you what my goal is for the rest of my life. And then I'll tell you some stats that came out of the interviews. I'm going to hold up a picture. It turns out that I have a single picture that can tell you what I'm doing in the rest of my life. So I mentioned before that there are people who are credible and people, the opposite to me of credible is dubious. the picture I'm holding up is a scale. And on one side of the scale, that's in a smaller letters and sort of raised up because the other side is heavier, is credibility. In this case, it's Credibility Nation, the company I'm running. And then on the other side is dubious, or dubious nation. My goal in my lifetime is to tip the scale, to make sure there's more credible people in the world than dubious people. So the question is, what does that mean? Feel free to go to credibilitynation.com or take a look at the book. But I'll give you a couple examples of things that people did which were dubious. And then I'll give you 3 things you could do to fix it. All right. So 2% of the people I interviewed out of the 500 had no integrity, which means that they had a scheduled interview time and they did not show up and did not let us know before or after. 4% of the people were rude because they came late, which is after the hour for a live interview. And overall, 23% of the people were late. I define late as coming within 3 minutes of a scheduled live interview. Now, here's where it gets really fascinating. When you get to know somebody and you get to interview and you like them, like when you're talking synchronously, one-on-one with somebody, that's great. And then I'd go and relook at who they were online. 80% of those people who I really liked had a really shitty online presence.
Oh.
And then here's the biggest thing. 98% of the people I interviewed needed clarity on who they served and how they served them.
Yes.
And so I have a concept, and maybe this, I'll leave you with one point. Or it depends on time. Tell me if I run out. But the one point is I have a concept called CPOP. It's for customer point of pain. And if you just Googled Mitchell Levy CPOP, or I think it's just mitchelllevy.com/CPOP, or we talk about it in a book. I actually have a do-it-yourself course as part of Credibility Nation. You join us today at $5 a month before it goes up to $10 a month, and you get access to that course for free as part of it. A CPOP is in 1 to 10 words, essentially who you serve and the pain point they address. It needs to be small. It needs to be something you would say in a second or two. It needs to be something that is memorable, because if it's memorable, it's shareable. And that means other people will share with you. And now here's the most important thing. There needs to be enough intrigue so that the next natural question somebody asks is, tell me more. So mine is really broad because I have such a big goal in space, a BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. Mine is humans that want to be seen as credible. Huge. A couple have like a global supply chain panic. Some people say profitability. Some people say scalability. I mean, there are many different things. I like, how about, this was fun. One we uncovered the other day. CEOs of, let's see, Fortune 50 C-suite execs who are alienating internal and external people.
Oh,
I mean, it's a little bit
pretty high percentage. Sorry to
it's a little bit long,
but that's
but like when you hear that, you go, "Holy shit, is that me?" Right? And if you're in that role, you're like, "Really, is that me?" And then tell me more. What does that mean? What do you do? And what happens with a good CPOP, a good customer point of pain, it's a compass. It's a compass to decide who you are and how you serve. Now, I'll leave you one last thing. If you now take that compass, your CPOP, and you go to your website and you make it search engine optimized around your CPOP, or you go to your LinkedIn profile and make it LinkedIn optimized around your CPOP, what are you doing? You're now magnetizing your compass. So for those people who have that as their pain point, they go to your website or they go to your LinkedIn profile and they go, "Oh, I need that." Right now, credibility is super hot. Companies that are doing polls of things that are missing is they're not connecting with the customer base. I have membership community. I've got books. I just did a TED Talk that hopefully will be released by the time people see this. So just Mitchell Levy TED Talk, and I've got one out there from 2017, and now there's another one that was recently done in 2021. So the thing that's interesting is what are the tools that, if you're a business person, what are the tools you have in place that can help support your efforts? In this case, the effort's called the CPOP. And now what happens is you go back to the input output diagram. If your CPOP sits there and something comes in, you could say to yourself, does it fit? Is this what I do? Some people say, well, it's money, I'll take it. And I'd say, no, you should give that to a friend. Maybe you'll make a referral fee. Okay. Focus on what you're good at, and the rest will take care of itself.
I absolutely 100% follow your line of thinking there and truly think it's brilliant. And I love how
Thank
you
you.
wrapped all of that up in a bow. So using the CPOP as a filter as to whether you should or you shouldn't, or like the queen bee of events there. That is, I mean, that's truly brilliant. I love that. And the way you describe it is just super eloquent, and I love it. I dig it.
Thank you, sir.
Let's shift gears. I imagine you and I could probably talk about business forever. Let's shift gears for a minute. What is the most fun vacation you've ever had? Because when we talk about being an entrepreneur and freedom and making our own rules and all that kind of stuff, I love hearing about people's vacations.
You know, it's a really cool question because there's so many different ways to answer it. First, I'll say if you love what you do, if what you do is fun, then you could basically have fun all the time. So I love what I do, but that's not true with my family. Right. And so what happened, it was probably 20 and a half years or 21 years ago. I was super busy, lots going on. I didn't have all the right systems and processes in place, and it didn't do the right leveraging. And I go to my wife, and I thought I was giving her a gift. This is when my son was born. And I said, hey, how about I take one day a week off? I was 7 days a week, and I'll take care of our son. And she goes, that's a great present for you. What about me? And it took me a second to realize what I had said and done and how silly I was. And then I said, well, what if I take a month off a year and we'll go to some European city, which is where her dream, her love was. And she goes, you're joking, right? No. We'll rent a place. Just if you could do the work of find the place, rent the place, and invite friends and family. So we've been doing that other than the COVID year where we had to unwind our holiday. We've been doing that for 20 years.
Love
And
it.
so as an entrepreneur, if this is what makes sense for you and your family, right? So we take a month off, and I can't, as a business person, I can't not work. What I can do though is not do new biz dev. Existing clients, if they need to reach out. Now, most of your clients, they're not going to bug you but occasionally it makes sense and people call, and we got Zoom. You can talk anywhere in the world with anybody.
Right.
And so out of that, there's so many beautiful. I will just say my favorite country from a people perspective is Ireland, because you can walk into any pub anytime, and particularly if you're not in a major city, first they're going to say, "Why the f are you here?" and you rented a house for a month in this town? Why? And then you explain why. And what happens is we get a chance when we're in one place for a month to get to know the local culture and get to know people. And I'll just say if you're talking about entrepreneurs, the one place we were in the heart of Ireland, and the guy ran the pub. He was also the mailman. He also ran the funeral service, because when we went to the pub and it was closed, it said closed for the day, where I'm dealing with this funeral. And we asked him about, oh yeah, I run the funeral service as well. Talk about an entrepreneur in a small town, right? It's just whatever business was around. And to be able to learn and see and interact. And then what happens is having friends and family come visit because they may not have gone to Europe otherwise. And those experiences by helping to deliver significant value for others. And then the time that I've had with my wife and son and their learning has been really beautiful. And there's probably one, you could pick one for summer or one for winter, or, I mean, there's different things, but generally I would say for people and people attitude, which is really, I think, what life is all about, is enjoying other people. Ireland has been overall, we've gone 3 times to Ireland. So
Love it. And I imagine there's a Guinness hidden in there somewhere too.
Oh, many. Many. I still drink from a Guinness cup I got at the factory.
Nice.
So
Nice.
my
You have
for those
great
who are,
props.
yeah, it's the prop is the a Guinness coffee mug, which I still wear, and I have a Guinness jacket, and yeah.
Nice. For the listeners, I want to encourage you to go out and watch the video because he's got great props. So this is great. Mitchell Levy, this has been fun. I really want to appreciate you for the investment of your time here. That's really important. I want to thank you for that. And I just celebrate you. So I love what you do. And I highly recommend that everybody listen and reach out to you. But I love the levity that you bring to it as well. This has been a lot of fun and it's been a pleasure. What is when somebody watches this or they listen to it, when they watch it and they listen to it and they think, oh my goodness, I have to reach out to Mitchell Levy. What's the best way for them to do it?
So the if, and it's not really the if, it's the when. And what I'm going to say is we all can make a difference. And we can make a difference by helping people understand what is credible and what is dubious. And go to credibilitynation.com, sign up for the basic membership. That you'll learn a lot. If you want to reach out to me directly, you could also go to mitchelllevy360.com. So it's just my name, mitchellevy360.com. It'll point you to Credibility Nation. It will also point you to my calendar if you want to schedule time directly on the calendar. So that's mitchelllevy360.com. But I'd say you owe it to yourself, to your kids and their kids and future generations to let's actually bring about a more credible, more humane planet. And that's my focus. And by the way, it should be fun. Everything we do should be fun. So thank you.
Agreed. Every day is like a vacation, right?
Yes, indeed.
I love it. Mitchell, thank you. This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where business owners making 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's not really all about the money. It's about sharing their wisdom globally and creating impact. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brad.